welcome to episode 3 of the Early Show, Lights Up on Election Day. I'm your host, Danielle Crittenden, and we're going to be discussing some local school news and current news. As we draw closer to the election, it's easy to get caught up in news about which candidate said what, if Mike Pence is considered investing in bug spray, or if the next presidential debate is going to look less like a kindergarten argument over who has the better race car and more of a respectful representation of our democracy. However, it's important to stay informed on some non-election related news. DCPS has announced that middle and high school teachers are going to be assigned to elementary schools to help monitor online learning. This idea stems from the fact that virtual learning is seemingly ineffective for younger children, and supervision is necessary for these children to academically progress. This plan is opposed by the Washington Teachers Union, who claim that school buildings are still unsafe for teachers and students to be returning to classrooms. This model, called CARE Classrooms, is another push by Muriel Bowser to get kids back in school and their parents back into the office. In other news, the DC Council has voted to allow children to get vaccinated without parental consent. Indeed, vaccination has been a controversial topic as the pandemic has progressed, with growing anti-vax movement becoming more and more pronounced over the past few years. Children as young as 11 will be able to obtain vaccinations without parental consent if the bill is passed through a second vote signed by Mayor Bowser. Now we're going to hear from some politically active school representatives in our community about the upcoming election.
Hi, my name is Dea. I'm 15. I'm president of student government and a sophomore at School at Walls High School. I actually consider myself to be a leftist, so not essentially Democrat or Republican.
Anna Alexander. I'm a sophomore here at School at Walls. I am a progressive Democrat. I'm a democratic socialist, and I organize with Sunrise Movement, which is a national movement of young people to organize for a Green New Deal for the U.S.
I'm Lucy. I'm 15, class of 2023. I'm a Democrat, but my personal ideals are more associated farther left than what the DNC normally strives for. And I've been involved in Sunrise Movement. It's important to vote because at the end of the day, as much as we don't like the systems that we're living in right now, we have to all use our individual power to change the systems from within.
Well, I think some people have a different ideology than me, and that's why they would choose to vote for another individual. Or maybe they have something about that candidate that they like. And I can always respect that, but I will always try to convince them to vote for my candidate and tell them why I think that they're a better choice for them.
Abolishing the current system of policing in America is the least we can do right now. Why are we scared of people who are there to protect us?
Well, again, I think it's climate change, because we know that climate change is an existential threat to human life. If we can wait till 2050 to get renewable energy, or we can wait for 2050 to get to net zero carbon emissions.
So I think that the political system was designed to help those who the Constitution designed for it to protect, which is white males. In general, for example, if you look at the prison system, so many people in the prison system will never be able to vote again, no matter what their offenses were.
Well, I think we need to make this country a democracy. So I think we need to remove first past the post voting system, which means that someone can win with only getting a plurality of votes and not a majority. I also think that we need to reform the Senate, or maybe even abolish the Senate, because it doesn't make sense that some people have 2 senators and live in a state with less than 1 billion people, and other people live in a state that has tens of million people and have the same level of representation. It just discounts people in big states who should have an equal impact on the election as well.
So the act of voting third party in this election is more ignorant than selfish, and it might even be worse than voting for Trump. Your heart might be in the right place, but a third party vote is still a vote for Trump and still a vote for the massacre of marginalized people.
I am with Ed Lazier right now. He is a DC Council at-large candidate. I access Ed Lazier through just looking at his website, edlazier.com, and I also phone bank for him, as well as Canvass, and it's really easy to do so. You just, again, go to the website of whatever candidate you want to support, or you think their ideals are best for the people of DC or the nation, and you can sign up to do free canvassing shifts or phone banking, or you can even do text banking. It's really easy. They've made it really easy.
I think 16 years old are able to see what's happening in the country, able to see what's happening in their city or the state, and they can, make a good decision from there.
So as long as they're making an educated, voting, statement, or they're trying to, express themselves in their own way, I do think we should reduce the minimum voting age. I don't think religious organizations should have a say in politics. I think the only time where we should have religion in politics is if something is blatantly hurting somebody from a certain religion. For example, I don't think swearing on a Bible or another religious book should be included because some people are not religious.
So there's not much for me to expand on from tolerance, but I'm definitely willing to listen to the constituents and the students in School Without Walls. If there is any bigotry, we absolutely need to address that. Well, obviously in our current situation, the lack of transparency from DCPS is very concerning, and I want a council member who is willing to stand in solidarity with DCPS students and demand our education, like Principal Trogish always said. And I also believe that religiously diverse students, like Muslim students, should have the option of skipping class to participate in holidays like Ramadan, and refusing to give non-Christian students the same accommodations of Christian students is inherently Christian supremacy, which has no place in our schools. I had a lot of campaign promises along my campaign trail, and those are not empty whatsoever. So right now I'm working on an email toward the Chancellor Farabee regarding skipping class for religiously diverse students, specifically Muslim students, during Ramadan. And I already asked him at a Chancellor Student Advisory Board meeting, and he said he'd think about it. But just to push further, I'm going to email him, and if not, we're going to protest. And same goes for Jewish students. We need accommodations for every student, whether Muslim, Jewish, Christian, atheist, anything.
So if you look at, for example, my hub, School Without Walls Sunrise Movement, did an advocacy at Marcus Goodwin's house to show him that we are wide awake. We're not going to be susceptible to your policies in kicking people out of the city, continuing gentrification as a developer. We make these statements so that people can understand that it doesn't matter if it wakes you up for one night, because it keeps us up every single night knowing that we might not have a future.
Go to sunrisemovement.org, look at the Victory Squad page, and you can find out about how you can canvass and phone bank and community canvass and send postcards to people across the country telling them to vote for the candidates that are actually going to address climate change by implementing a Green New Deal. The Sunrise Movement is an organization of young people for young people. So even if you may not necessarily know everything about politics, or you may be confused, there will be other young people there to tell you about what issues are important to you and to our generation.